If you look collectively at all the things that are happening in the construction world, it's a revolution of 1,000 droplets of water that are this giant tsunami, and this giant tsunami of just a whole bunch of different little things that are being tested and tried all over the world. If the world of constructing things fundamentally changes, it will lower the cost of living. It will make living in some places economical when it wasn't. You could build entire communities just for people with drug addiction, take them out of a place where they can get drugs, put them where they just can't get them, and have a whole nice city there that you can live in. It's just a drug-free city. So suddenly, a whole bunch of societal problems can be more easily dealt with simply by changing your construction. There's another story about a Swiss company that built a very impressive high-end house entirely by robots. Now, when you hear that, you say, oh no, the robots are taking over. And ultimately they will, of course. New home construction will be robots. It's just when. Certainly if you're looking at 20 years, totally. Most new construction will be mostly robots. I would say that's a safe, very safe prediction in 20 years. Now, if you say in 5 years, I think you might see your first permitted robot-built house, maybe. In 10 years, it's probably going to be competing with humans, and in 20, humans won't be competitive anymore, except for what do you call it, reconstruction or upgrades. Upgrades will still be human for a long time because there's too many decisions being made. Unless it just becomes cheaper to tear everything down. So here's the thing. One of the biggest trends that the public doesn't see coming is new home building systems and technologies. So I'm saying systems to include all of the planning, organizing, coordinating stuff, and just the order in which you do things and how you iterate things and all that. Those are systems. And then the technology is robots or 3D printing or homes that you can put together like a kit. Or somebody mentioned something called hempcrete today. Have you ever heard of that? It's hemp and crete, like concrete, but with hemp. Apparently, if you use hemp and some kind of lime or limestone mixture, you get this lightweight brick for a building. It's not strong enough for foundations, but it's strong enough for walls. And it has the advantage that the hemp absorbed a bunch of CO2. So you have buildings that instead of concrete, so concrete will produce CO2. But hempcrete, because you're growing plants and then turning that into concrete, you're actually absorbing CO2 and you're locking it into the construction material and you're putting it in your frickin' wall. And apparently it has great qualities for moisture control and insulation. So it's light, which makes it easier. It insulates, has some good moisture control qualities, and it actually absorbs CO2. I mean, when the substance is growing, not when you put it in your house. So now I'm not saying that hempcrete will ever be a big thing. So because, who knows, there might be other variables I don't know about. But if you look collectively at all the things that are happening in the construction world, it's a revolution of 1,000 droplets of water that are this giant tsunami. And this giant tsunami of just a whole bunch of different little things that are being tested and tried all over the world. If the world of constructing things fundamentally changes, it will lower the cost of living. It will make living in some places economical when it wasn't. You could build entire communities just for people with drug addiction, take them out of a place where they can get drugs, put them where they just can't get them, and have a whole nice city there that you can live in. It's just a drug-free city. So suddenly, a whole bunch of societal problems can be more easily dealt with simply by changing your construction. Now, what about the robots taking all the jobs? That's a mixed bag because there are two trends, and we don't know how they'll net out. One trend is that if a robot takes your job, you got to go get another job, and maybe you don't make as much money. So that's bad. We can assume that there's some of that coming toward us. So robots taking construction jobs, guarantee there's some of that coming. But what if the net effect of these new technologies for building homes takes the cost of a really good quality home down to, wait for it, $75,000. Let's say you could buy a really livable, I'll say livable because it's designed to be really nice, just low cost. So you could have a really livable, affordable $75,000 house. Even if you're paying rent, the rent on a $75,000 house is going to be pretty low. So if you could get to that point, suddenly you can, have a lower end job and have a real high quality life because you'd go home to a, beautiful, albeit inexpensive home. All right. And when I say the home is beautiful, I mean you have to design the entire community so that it's the community that makes the living experience good. Similar to how college is awesome. If you go to college, your physical room is just this crappy little space you share with a roommate usually. But the lifestyle is amazing because you walk out of your room and it's all students and activities and, there's central places you can go to have sports and all kinds of things.